Welcome to Business Beyond Borders, the go-to podcast for CPA firms seeking transformative insights. I'm your host, Lawrence Whittam, and with each episode we'll uncover key insights, best practices, and invaluable resources tailored for CPAs. From trending strategies to diving deep into outsourcing and offshoring, our experts will help in all areas of your business. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Business Beyond Borders. And thank you for joining. We're going to have a bit more of a conversation today with Steve Perkins, who was previously the CIO for Hogan Taylor and has a background in the tech space. So we're going to have a bit more of a technical talk when it comes to any of the IT side of things, right? What firms should be thinking about, and also where AI is going, right? Obviously being one of the major topics. And then we'll also dig into a little bit from the outsourcing side, right? What maybe some of the challenges that came up, right, for Steve and his team as they were building their outsourcing team. And what were some of those things you need to think about when it comes to more of a technical and IT perspective. And now, Steve, I'll let you give a bit of your background, but you stepped out quite recently, right? And you've now started in the consulting world, Invicta Advisors, where you were doing a few aspects, but you're a little bit of a fractional advisor when it comes to the CIO side of things for firms. And then also SOC 2, if I remember, or a SOC advisor and an auditor from that perspective. But I'll let you give a bit of your background if that works.
Yeah, Steve Perkins. I just recently left Hogan Taylor CPAs in Tulsa, Oklahoma, last September. Had worked for them for 19 years. Previous to that, I worked for another small firm for 14 years. So I've only worked for two CPA firms my whole career. Got into IT right out of college, and all my education is in finance, a business in finance. So I got an undergrad in finance and an MBA. But I loved IT so much that I stayed in IT. Having the business skills definitely helped me get into a CIO role and get into leadership. So that really worked out well for me. But after 19 years, I kind of got an itch to do something different the last part of my career. And I love helping firms. I love helping my peers. I love helping firms get better. So I thought, well, I'll just go out and do that on my own and work for small firms. So now I'm a fractional CIO. A lot of firms maybe can't afford or don't have a spot for a full-time CIO, but they could use the strategic leadership of a part-time one. So that's what I do, and I'm absolutely loving it. Could not be happier doing this. It's very fulfilling, very rewarding to help firms get better. So I work typically in fractional, like strategic leadership. I also do Lean Six Sigma consulting, so process improvement, data governance, third-party risk management, all those things that a CIO needs to worry about. I do. Yeah.
And very good to have you on, Steve. Really appreciate you taking a bit of time to share again some insights and again, very typical sort of background, which is funny what we mentioned before in terms of a lot of people start in the finance side of it, right? When they go into a firm and then, okay, you like IT and you sort of get wind for it. And then you start to move into that sort of space. And again, a lot of great professionals. And the awesome thing is you really understand the business, right? You've been in the firm, you've seen a lot of growth with especially Hogan Taylor being now a top 90, top 80 firm, I think. Yeah. And again, but also worked on the small firm side of it, right? So you see the challenges from that aspect.
Absolutely. We started, when I started at Hogan Taylor in 2006, we were only 49 people, and I was the only IT guy. And so it was much different than now, a firm of about 400 and an IT staff of 12 or 13. So went through all the growth spurts and all the challenges of growing an IT team. So learned quite a bit about it. Yeah.
So you've really been through all stages, right? From the firm sizes, right? and also just being in the profession for the length of time that you have been, like there's been a lot of developments, right, when it comes to technology, AI, and how we should be setting up, how everything can be secure. And so can you maybe just talk a little bit to that, right? Especially over the last, again, I believe there's been huge advancements and a lot more conversations around AI and technology over the past even 3-4 years. But can you maybe talk about what firms maybe are still currently doing that really they should have already improved, right? But you see, or maybe you're hearing about firms still maybe set up in a way that they are much easier ways of doing things, whether it's even from a network perspective or whether it's how they're set up in the cloud, and just sort of talk about where we've been and where we should really be now to where we are potentially going to. That would be very helpful.
Yeah, 15, 18 years ago when I joined, 20 years ago when I joined Hogan Taylor, the first big advancement at about that time in the late 2000s or like 2007, 2008 was virtualization. So that was the first thing that really started to blow my mind, that we could run multiple servers on one computer. And I just, it's like magic to me. Yeah. And never did I think that, in 15, 18 years, we'd be talking about artificial intelligence replacing jobs. So first was virtualization, and then moving out to the cloud and SaaS applications. And now suddenly we're talking about AI. But I've been a little bit shocked that so many firms are still just thinking about moving out to the cloud. And they have some SaaS applications because their vendors have gone that way. But there's still a lot of firms out there that honestly are pretty far behind in moving out to the cloud, having good, clean workflows of data through the firm, compliance with the FTC regulations, compliance with IRS regulations, all that. So we're still a challenged industry in that regard. But certainly now people are getting curious about AI, and individuals are licensing ChatGPT and all these other solutions. So I personally use ChatGPT every day, but I still struggle with prompt engineering and getting it to really do what I'm asking it to do. So I think we'll have a period of quite a bit of learning how to engineer prompts, and that's going to have to go down in the staff level and throughout the firm. So I don't think we're quite there yet with really harnessing AI in a big way. Every vendor is putting "we've got AI now" in their taglines, and that's not always true. It's not always AI that's in the system, but I think we've got quite a ways to go to get the industry really ready to harness AI. It might be another 3 to 5 years, kind of like what we said that blockchain was going to take over the world, 5, 8 years ago or whatever. And well, do we see that in our daily lives yet? No. It's probably going to be similar to that, where it's a lot of hype and then the trough of disillusionment, and then climbing out of that into some real uses for it. That's what I think anyway, or what I'm seeing.
Now, and with the firms, and again, let's say Hogan Taylor, again, being, you've grown out a team, right? So a team that can research it, take time to understand it, right? But when we talk about the majority of firms, right, let's say even under 100, under 75 people, right, in a lot of those cases, like sometimes they don't have the capacity to really do that, right? I mean, I believe, and I see a little bit with some of the smaller firms that, again, if there is somebody involved even full time on the technology side of things, they're generally doing a lot of the maintenance type work in a lot of cases, and problem solving as things come up. It's not let's look at advancement, right? And using this AI and all this and integrating it. It falls then on partners that aren't necessarily experienced in doing so and understanding the compliance aspects that come with it and all these things. So what is a good step for smaller firms to take, right? And from that side of things, and how did you take off sort of more bite-sizable chunks where it allowed for partners to be like, yes, this is worth the investment to do this. It makes sense to do it in this capacity, not to take on too much and fail in a lot of cases, right? With all these projects.
Yeah, you're exactly right in that in the smaller firms, the IT staff is being asked to turn some of these things on, like ChatGPT and Copilot, and even in a small way, just for 5 or 10 people to play around with it. But that's not going to get much traction and much effectiveness in the firm, because you've really got to set a strategy around it, get some quick wins, and understand how to roll it out in your firm. And it's in a small firm, it's tough to do. I've seen it. I've seen that people are licensing ChatGPT or Copilot and just letting people play with it. In our firm,
putting client information in. And
and they don't have policies around it yet, and it's not likely to get far unless they get some swim lanes around it and get some guidance. Now, at Hogan Taylor, we were big enough to assign a partner to be the leader of innovation. So we had a whole group that developed innovation on AI in the firm. So we were very deliberate about funding it and having a strategy around it and policies around it. So that's not likely the case in smaller firms, say below 100 or 150. And after dealing with this for a little while, what I would recommend is not just turning on the services and letting people play with it. What I would recommend, and I may not be the right person for this, but there are other fractional CIO consultants out there and other AI consultants out there that can come into your firm and define a strategy with you alongside, define a strategy to implement AI in the firm in a organized way with timelines and a strategy. Just letting people play with the tools is likely not going to lead to much good effect. So I would highly recommend getting a fractional person or a consultant in there to help with an AI strategy. You're probably likely to get the most traction and the best results by having somebody come in and help with a strategy. It's an investment, but people are probably wasting their time just messing around with AI now.
Seeing what works rather than, I mean, what are our goals? What could be areas that it's probably best suited for in the firm, and let's actually take a strategic approach to it, right?
Yeah, and the best firms are going to be the ones that say, let's back up, let's get somebody in here to help us with a strategy. The best firms
and then,
do that.
Now, and I know you're speaking in London at a digital accountancy show, right? So, and like, maybe what are you speaking about there? What are the sort of current trends that you are wanting to bring up for in this sort of near term as well? Like whether it's AI, is it more on the security side of it, or what is that sort of current trend that you believe that these firms should be looking at?
Yeah, I understand from some friends that are in the UK that the CIO role is not as prevalent in the UK as it is here. I don't know if you can confirm that or not, but that's what I understand. And I think we're going to be talking about, there's a group of CIOs from the US that are going over and talking at this conference. I think that's one of the topics is the value a CIO can bring to your firm. And also, I think one of the topics is funding AI research in firms. And I personally think that Hogan Taylor did it right, which is assigning a group of curious investigatory people that like messing with stuff and breaking things and fixing things and people that are curious, to give them some money to play with it and let them fail fast. That's the way I think it should be done, is being deliberate about funding this, funding an innovation group to work on AI. So I think we're going to be talking about that. Whatever other issues come up, but those are the two that I know that are on the agenda. Something else that I'm working on currently with an outside party is normalizing and rationalizing third-party risk management. Right now, right now there's 46,000 CPA firms. All are supposed to be doing third-party risk and scrutinizing their vendors. And what most of us do, even in larger firms, we just download the SOC report or ask them for their SOC report and then check off the box that we've done our due diligence. Well, that's not enough. And can you imagine the chaos? Oh, also, every trust center with a vendor is different. They provide different materials. Sometimes you have to sign an NDA to get further. So can you imagine the chaos if all the firms started actually doing third-party risk? The vendors could not handle it. It's impossible. So we got a math problem and a logistics problem. So I'm working with a third party to develop it's a company that is the middleman and the clearinghouse for all that third party risk. And it comes with a scoring system and a lot of proprietary things. So I can't talk about too much, but I want to take this solution in the US and also take it to the UK. So
and from that side of things, like, because again, my dad being in the cybersecurity world, like, again, it's been the dinner table talk. So again, a lot of the SSL certificates and stuff like that, and all the antivirus, anti-malwares and stuff like that. And but then also worked with Redpoint at Anshin, right? They built out a cyber division, right? And so reasonably familiar with that side of the house in that sense. And when it comes to like doing that due diligence on vendors, right? When we, again, talking, and I've been in it because of the outsourcing, right? There is specific regulations and everybody knows about the 7216 regulation for the tax stuff. So it becomes like and just working with somebody globally in a place like India or the Philippines or anywhere, there's a lot of concern around security. Right. And at the end of the day, like, this is another vendor in a lot of cases that you're working with. Right now, there is a lot of due diligence that I've seen that has gone into that type of vendor compared to, let's say, another entity that is providing a software and they just say, oh, let me download it, let me plug it in and it's done. Right. That is the level of due diligence. OK, yeah, somebody else is using this. I'll use it now. It should be OK. Right. And there's very different levels of security that maybe that software is put in place at that point in time. Right. So what are some steps maybe for a smaller firm as well? Like, it sounds like you're developing and working with somebody to develop something that they can sort of utilize, right, to do that, be somewhat of a clearinghouse to do that third party review. But what are even just some of those areas that a small firm should be looking at within their tech stack and within just any of the vendors that they're working with, right? Because again, the big thing is there's a lot of sensitive information inside a firm that we shouldn't be providing access to, right? And if we do, we need to actually provide disclosure for in a lot of cases too. What does that look like?
Well, the first is the realization every firm needs to have that our vendor's SOC report is not enough. A SOC report can be not gamed, but a SOC report can be scoped to be very narrow, depending on what the vendor determines the SOC should be. And it doesn't have to, it oftentimes doesn't cover enough of what we're expecting from our vendor around privacy and some other cybersecurity issues. So a SOC report is just a starting. Pardon?
Meaning it could be part of a company. It could be a small segment of systems that are like networks of computers that are within that company, but it may not be across the whole company in a lot of cases. Right?
And it may not cover the services or the data that you've given that vendor. It could just be their public SOC report that they give out to anybody that asks. And that's not enough. I don't even know how many firms are reading the SOC reports they get from vendors because they're boring. They're like privacy statements. Yeah. So start with a SOC report, but I'll remind everybody that every big company that gets breached likely has a SOC report. That doesn't keep you from getting breached at all.
Yeah.
And your data being lost. So a SOC report is not enough. It'd be good to get a standard questionnaire, like a SIG, something reasonable. Doesn't have to be 800 questions, but you can get a reasonable assessment of a vendor's cybersecurity and privacy posture with 30 questions, 20 to 30 questions, something. It doesn't have to be crazy. And then do it annually. These third-party risk reviews should be done annually. and just knowing your vendors and checking with your peers and finding out if they have any other questionnaires that they've gotten from these vendors. But definitely a SOC report is not enough. You got to go further than that per the regulations from the FTC. You have to be scrutinizing your vendors. My dream is my dream before I die or before I retire is that a vendor can't even enter the market until they've gotten right with third-party risk on and be open and make it collaborative. It doesn't have to be adversarial, but our clients need to trust us, and we're giving you, my clients' data. It's all trust. We've got to be able to trust that you're doing well with our clients' data. So that's what we're trying to do. It's a big topic, and most firms are not doing it right. Same with data governance. They're not governing data. They're not doing third-party risk. So lots of opportunity out there to help firms get better in all these areas. That's what I'm doing with my practice.
Perfect. And one of the things I wanted to touch on is around sort of, it started out with you as within Hogan Taylor, like working with vendors, right? So Hogan Taylor built an global team, right? Again, that's sort of a big piece of the expansion that Hogan Taylor has had, right? But you started working with vendors offshore, right? Yep. A couple of different vendors, and then sort of progressed down to a stage where you've then really gone, and again, it's a different model, but you've really built out your own entity, right? But through a partnership of other firms as well, right? So there was a slight reduced risk, but you built a shared service center essentially, but of dedicated team members that are now Hogan Taylor's, right? Dedicatedly. So what did that look like, right? Can you tell us a little bit about the story, sort of like from the starting point to where they are now, but also more so from that technical perspective, like the IT setup and what maybe challenges that you faced, or what were some of those due diligence things that you had to get comfortable with before even getting started, right? Because a lot of firms struggle to even get it going in a lot of cases and taking that first step.
Yeah. The toughest thing to start out was that we got into it very quickly because we could not find staff at Hogan Taylor to do the work that we had in the door. So we jumped on the offshoring train in very short order just a few years ago, and had to get up to speed on how do you work with somebody that's halfway around the globe in doing an audit or doing tax returns. So it was difficult. It was a big learning curve, not just culturally, but the time difference, whether or not they had good internet or not. I mean, we just assume that we have good internet here. Well, halfway around the world, they often have, depending on the city or the metropolitan area, they often have power outages or typhoons that come through, and storm season and internet, and people are using their phones as the hotspot to work. So there's lots of technical issues just with that. So we learned all that as we were going, of logistics about computers. You can't just order a computer from Dell and have it drop shipped to your employee now. I mean, if they're in the Philippines, it's difficult. It's expensive. So you have to find new vendors to help you with things in country. So big learning curve all the way around with IT processes, logistics, time zones, language, culture, just all the HR issues, all the IT issues. So we got that pretty much down pat, and it worked really well for us. I think we probably had 10 people in the Philippines and doing work for us, and it was great. So it was working out really well. And I believe that we were working with people that went to a work center where they could be supervised, and their cell phones were taken away from them. That whole model. But because of transit times in the Philippines to get into Manila or wherever, we didn't see that as being a long-term solution. Is that if we were going to hire good people and let them work from home, and not have them have to travel 2 hours each way or 3 hours each way. So our firm was affiliated with 7 other firms that that invested in things together and started businesses together. And they decided to establish an offshore company to serve our 8 firms, but then later serve the firms at large. So other CPA firms. So they established an entity in the Philippines and set up the administrative infrastructure, the people, the CIO and operations, and figured out the vendor issues with having getting computers in country that could be delivered within weeks instead of months. But then all of us IT guys, the CIOs at the 8 firms, had to get on kind of the same page about security posture.
Yeah.
And meeting with 7216s and tracking that. And some of us had to, in a group of 8 CIOs, there's going to be people that are really anal about security and people that are a little bit less, what I mean? Always. So we had to have several meetings and kind of hash out a acceptable posture for all of us so that the entity could then license the right antivirus software and all of that stuff. So that was interesting and fun. But because it was collaborative, we made it work. And with Azure Virtual Desktop being so much better than Terminal Server now, that's all you do, and you just set up an AVD for them. But then you've got to get more granular in your applications, like engagement or access tax, because those people can't necessarily access every one of your clients. So that did drive a lot of administrative work, adding additional granularity to the line of business systems. That's probably something that doesn't get talked about enough, but we had a lot of that to do. So they got it up and running pretty smoothly. We got through the speed bumps and it's off and running. Now it's an offering to other CPA firms too. And I think it's working quite well. It's a new global economy. We have to treat these people like they're our employees, because they are. Yeah. You just have logistical issues of getting, like, if you have a firm meeting, well, you can't just invite everybody to the firm meeting, because then you got to fly 20 people from the Philippines. So it changes the look of your firm and the way you do things.
And you went through the development of, again, working with a vendor where you still maybe treated those team members like employees. Apart from then, you sort of went a step further and said, what is the way that we can really expand this and really build out our own, right? And you were able to then continually grow a team. And again, you went the route a little bit of, okay, we do want to do it ourselves, but not really by ourselves, right? We know that there's a capacity piece that we need to hit. It doesn't make sense for us to necessarily just go off on our own and do it. And we would prefer to work with other firms that are also looking at having a similar challenge from a talent perspective, and we can share that risk realistically, right?
And our HR department came to us, and it was a top-down message from the CEO and HR saying, this is how our firm is going to look in the future, that we're going to have 15 or 20% being offshore. And we want each of our departments to look like that too. And so our HR department came to us and said, we want you to hire a help desk person in the Philippines. And me and our IT director said, we don't need anybody. We're fine. We're good. Yeah. And they said, well, no, we want you to hire somebody. You're not going to get this chance again to get a free, a staff that you're not even asking for. So we said, okay, we'll try it. And we hired a guy in the Philippines, and he's awesome. He's one of us. And he's still with the firm, and he handles, later night tickets or early morning tickets. And he's fantastic. So we proved that you can have IT staff overseas that can help the in-country issues, tickets, but also be a member of the firm. And we were just thrilled to have him. So that worked out well for us. So highly recommended. Yeah.
Cool. No, and that's a great point. I mean, it should be thought about, especially as the firms are growing, right? We're looking at non-revenue driving people inside a firm, right? And employees in a lot of cases. And that's where the worry comes up. Again, having a global presence is going to be able to help on those types of roles as well, right?
Yeah.
And it goes in a stepping stone, right? But it was great. Again, IT, you can find a lot of IT talent around the world, right? That's doing it, that are very used to it. That we've got tech companies that are using contractors offshore day in, day out, security companies that are using tech players. But really appreciate the time, Steve, and sharing it. I would love to set up another episode at some point to go into a bit more detail around this. But we're at time for today. But where is it best for everybody to reach you?
Yeah, I don't have a website yet because I haven't had to have one to get any business. So my LinkedIn profile or Steve at Invicta Advisors LLC.com would be the best way to get a hold of me. And Invicta is with an A, and it's not us, not Invictus, but Invicta.
Yeah. So we'll post your LinkedIn, and then when you get the website, more than happy to put that in there as well. But please reach out to Steve if you have any questions like around that. Again, Steve has been from the out. It could be from the outsourcing side of things. It could be, hey, listen, we don't know how we're set up currently, and we need to really. We know we need to do something from the IT perspective, but need to speak to somebody first. Yeah. Again, the big thing is there is a gap in people available to speak to you independently. Right. So Steve would be a great resource for that.
And I know a bunch of people that specialize in various things. So even if I'm not the right person, contact me and I can connect you with somebody who is. So thanks for having me, Lawrence. Really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. And thanks everybody for visiting today and listening to Business Beyond Borders. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Business Beyond Borders. I'm Lawrence Whittam, and it's been a pleasure bringing you impactful insights tailored for the modern CPA firm. Remember, the world of accounting is vast and ever evolving, and we're here to navigate it together. For more resources and episodes, don't forget to subscribe and reach out to our experts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your business and explore the limitless possibilities beyond borders.